Welcome to Origin Stories. I'm RD.
I'm Parrot.
We're telling stories behind the digital art revolution.
Each week we interview top artists
and live stream with the community.
Let's go. Today is tomorrow's origin story.
Look at you, interview mode.
Look
That's
at the
awesome.
camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Victor Mosquera. We made it. We made it to Origin Stories.
We did it. We're finally doing it, man.
Welcome. I appreciate this interview very much. As you know, it's one that I was looking forward to for a long time. I feel like we laid the foundation for it. I may have even told you that this was a possibility before maybe anyone else. You know, said,
Dude, yeah, like I feel like an OG right now.
Yeah, I was like, I might be doing this in the future, and here we are, man. Fast forward to February 3rd, the day before your drop.
Dude, I'm super excited about the drop. Like, I'm nervous, but I'm super excited too.
Yeah. And we're gonna suspense. We're gonna add suspense. We're gonna tease that. We're gonna get to that. But Origin Stories, where we have to start is your literal origin. So take it wherever you want to go. Say whatever you want to say, whatever means something to you. But if I were to ask you the question, what is your origin story? How would you answer
it? Dude, I feel like basically for like people that don't know me, I'm an artist from I'm originally from Colombia, from Bogota, Colombia, but I've been based in Canada for the last almost 10 years, like 9 years at this point. I'm in Vancouver now. I live in Toronto for like 7 years, 8 years, and I just moved to Vancouver just now. But yeah, like, dude, like I've been doing this for like, again, like more than a decade. I've been doing all kinds of stuff. Like I started doing, like work for video games. I was part of the video game industry for a long time. I worked at Ubisoft for like 5 years, if not more. But my background, I guess, like where everything started for me was, I guess, like how many people that make, like art, especially like 2D art. I feel like I've been drawing literally since I can remember. Like my dad used to be, like very, like he used to encourage me to like, like sit down, and like he used to buy me like watercolors and like pens and all kinds of stuff.
Now,
so yeah,
was he an artist? Did he paint himself?
Well, that's the thing. He did, but I feel like he was kind of like, how do you say, like a repressed artist. Like he never was able to do it, like as a living. So he really liked it, but he always did it as like a outlet, I guess, to kind of like get out of his like day job or anything. He used to be a dentist. Actually, both my parents are dentists. But yeah, like my dad, I feel like a bunch of like the things that I have now, like in my brain that are like super influential to me come from my dad, because he was always like interested in, like growing up in Colombia. Most people are, like into like salsa music and like reggaeton and like Latin music, like dance music, which I love, by the way. But I grew up, my dad was more into like, like 60s psychedelic rock. So like a lot of like Pink Floyd and like, like Jefferson Airplane, Jimi Hendrix. So I was exposed to that from like a very like early age. And at the same time, he was always, like trying to play instruments. So like he bought me like a guitar. Like he used to have like a drum set, keyboard. So like I know how to play like a few things.
So very like a lot of artistic diversity in that household.
But only from my dad's side. Like my mom used to paint too a little bit, but like as a like, I guess because she saw my dad doing it, so they were like doing it together maybe. But yeah, like my dad was always, like reading poetry, artists, photographers. Like he's very into that. So I feel like he kind of like shared that with me when I was like a little kid. And then yeah, like I guess that's stay with me, like until now. And kind of like I'm bringing back all those influences from, like, again, like if you see my work, I'm super influenced by like psychedelic, like not even like rock, but like, like those posters from that era, like psychedelic art from like the 60s, some of the 70s, like sci-fi movies, like from the 70s too. So it's like there's a lot of like influences. Like when I think back about, like why am I doing what I do, I'm sure that a lot of it is related to like what I saw, like in the past, like me being a kid, like opening like a Pink Floyd, like vinyl, like that side of the moon, and I'm like, wow, what is this, yeah. So and then I guess like I didn't think about art, you know, like as a serious thing. Dude, growing up in Colombia is kind of like, it's kind of like crazy in many ways, but like one of the things that uh, I have to like, you know, like really try hard to like shake off was the feeling that you cannot make a living, you know, like it's actually hard to make a living in general, let alone, you know, think about make a living doing art. So it's like, that's like an impossible thing to like think about, you know? So I feel like I never took it that seriously. I always did it like as a fun thing to do. I just loved it. So I never stopped doing it. And
Wait,
then,
on that note, real quick, a question
yeah.
that I love to ask: when you were doing it just for the fun, not necessarily thinking it could be the thing, do you remember the first artwork that you created that you were proud of? The first artwork, whatever it was, that you looked at and you said, "Ooh, I like that."
Well, I had a few things. Like I remember like as a kid, I used to just like, you know, like watch I don't know, like Dragon Ball Z and like that kind of stuff. And like, I used to try to like draw, you know, like the characters and stuff. But I feel like that one of the first things that I remember was like, I don't know, I was like maybe 10 or something like that, and I was like drawing with like watercolors, and I started doing these like characters like design on my own, and I was just like making like kind of like mix and matching, you know, like stuff from like Dragon Ball Z, and then like I was like listening to Gorilla, so I was like kind of like copying like Jamie Hewlett style and like making like a mishmash of everything. And I just remember being so stoked. Like I was always like the, you know, like the art guy at the like my high school and like elementary, and like I was a guy who can draw, so it was like always like my thing, I guess. But like I remember
Yeah.
like being like super stoked about, you know, like just very simple like childish stuff like that, like just copying stuff and being like, oh dude, like I nailed it, like I can draw, you know, like Goku really well. I'm like, wow, like I never thought that I could be able to do this, you know.
Yeah.
um
Your friends probably thought it was incredible, right?
oh dude, yeah, like everybody was losing their minds. Like I never considered myself like a, you know, like a popular kid in high school, but like because I can draw, I was like kind of in with the cool guys, you know.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I was second tier. I had a friend, actually two friends, who were unreal. Like they could draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they could draw not by like copying something, but they could really just draw. And
Oh,
then
okay, yeah,
I was
the real
second
deal.
tier. I could copy something pretty well. Like I was sketching Wolverine, you know, and
Yeah,
all
dude,
that
that was
back in
me.
the
That
day.
was me 100%. That was me, dude, all the time. But yeah, dude, like I like when I look back, there's not like a single thing that I'm like super proud of. I have like memories of like I have memories of like this stuff that I've done. Like I remember like when I started getting like super serious about art, I have a few pieces that I did that it was like, I think it was like a Batman series, and I was like really trying to be like as realistic as possible, like painting, you know, like I think like the villains or something like that. And I remember being like working, you know, like I don't know, 7 p.m. and I start painting, and then the next thing I know, the sun's coming up, and I'm like, dude, what? Like I didn't realize that I paint for like 6 hours, 7 hours straight, and then I just remember like specific pieces that, you know, like made me feel like I was improving, you know, like
Mhm.
that's like kind of like the most memorable thing to me, like pieces that actually make me feel like, you know, like color was clicking to me, drawing was clicking in my brain. Like that's the kind of stuff that I remember being like, oh, like yeah, like I'm super glad that I did that.
So when does it then become the step where you say to yourself, this can now be a thing, right? So that was the phase where you're like, I'm falling in love with this. You're staying up overnight, you know, developing your skill set. But yeah, what was that turning point where you said, I might be able to do this?
Dude, well, it's weird. Like it's been like a weird, I mean, it sounds super cheesy, but like a weird journey in a way, because like I before the interview I was mentioning this to you, I always like draw for fun because I loved it. But I never ever thought about, you know, like making art for a living. That's like you can only dream of that. Like again, especially in Colombia, you can only dream of something like that. So before I was actually taking like drawing and like art seriously. I used to be like a gun for hire, a musician. At that point I was playing, you know, like at the same time that I was drawing for fun, I was playing guitar for fun as well, since I was like, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13, something like that. So by the time that I was like 17, 18, uh I was working as a gun for hire for like heavy metal bands that, you know, like needed to open like a show, you know, like a metal band was going to Colombia. So I used to be like in 2 or 3 bands that needed, you know, like support for like the live show. So I was kind of like doing that, which is fun.
So would you get called day of? Would it just be, hey, we need you
No,
tonight?
no. Imagine that would be insane. No. It was like I always knew like maybe like a month in advance.
Okay.
Especially for our big shows, you know. If it was like I don't know, like a. It was also interesting in the way that it was like, I don't know, like on Friday I could be playing in a bar for like 20 people, and then the next weekend I was playing like I was opening for Judas Priest or something like that. You know what I mean? So it was like a very like weird contrast between those days. But like, yeah, if it's a bar thing, it's like, hey man, we're doing a bar tomorrow. But if we're opening for like a festival or something like that, it's like, hey man, like you know, like months in advance, and like you do rehearse pretty much like every day and that kind of stuff.
Interesting. And I will say we did talk off air a little bit, and we found that we have some bands in common, right? Kill Switch Engage. I feel the need to throw that out there.
Dude, I love it. Like I don't listen to that kind of stuff like as much anymore, but like again, like it's something that it was such a huge part of my life that you can never forget it. And like if you play the songs, I probably know the lyrics of all the songs. I can probably play the riffs of like most of the songs, you know. So it's like, yeah, like Kill Switch Engage. I remember playing like Bullet for My Valentine, In Flames, Solid Work, that kind of stuff that is like very like European in a way. Like the more In Flames stuff is like more European, and the other stuff is like the more American, you know, like hardcore metal version of it. But yeah, that was fun, man. Like I honestly I love that kind of stuff. I don't listen to like again like the new albums anymore. Like I'm not like up to date with, you know, like what Kill Switch is doing now. But if you play, you know, like My Curse, I will lose my shit.
Same. That's the best era right there.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, how funny would it be? And we're obviously going to get a little bit later here into your specific works of art. But I was thinking, how funny would it be if you set Patterns Unfolding to the Kill Switch song?
Dude,
that would just be like a hysterical outtake. That would mean something to you, to me, and maybe a few other people. But it would be hysterical.
Dude, but like, even now that you're saying that, I feel like all that era, you know, like I feel like everything in life happens for a reason, you know. So it's like I feel like because I was part of like, again, like I grew up with musicians. Most of my best friends back home are musicians, audio engineers, like instrument players. I was literally exposed to music since I was like very, very young, and I still do. Like you're gonna see like in my drop, there's a bunch of like animations with audio. Even in Patterns Unfolding, like I did the audio for all my animations, and I enjoy like sitting down and, you know, just like opening Ableton in like the same way that I, you know, like sit down with like a pencil and a pen and draw something. I enjoy very much, you know, like sitting down with like Ableton or like my guitar or something, and like just create like soundscapes, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I feel like all that influence kind of like still bleeds to this day, you know, like all the principles that I know about like how to mix, chord structure, having like an ear to kind of like find what's in key and what's not, and like if there's something that is, you know, like not working in like a specific, you know, like key or like chord progression or something. All those things I know from kind of like being a musician for a few years before I was making art. So I feel like everything kind of like works that way because I have that specific background, you know.
It comes through. It does come through.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, man.
It comes through that you didn't just like overlay audio just because, you know.
No.
It comes through that it's very keyed in to what the artwork is.
Yeah, it's very, very specific, and it's like I feel like that's the fun thing of like building, you know, like I hate to say like a brand, but like I feel like a brand ultimately, especially with art, is like your taste. So it's like I subscribe to your, like, even as a collector, if somebody like enjoys your gallery, they're subscribing to your taste because they trust what you like. The same way that you like if you buy clothes from like a specific like clothing brand, you're subscribing to the taste of like the designers of that brand and how, you know, like they advertise everything, how they present it, how the actual, you know, like fabric looks. Like you're subscribing to somebody's taste, you know. So I feel like with everything that I do, it's kind of like a control freak situation, kind of. But like I really need to like I just really take pride on like doing everything myself. Like I know that it's like good to like delegate and like, especially when like I don't know, like there's a lot of stuff to do. Like if you want to make like spread yourself and like be like, you know, like doing animation, but do like paintings, music videos, creating audio. Like there's so many things to do that I feel like it's good to like delegate stuff sometimes. But I take so much pride in like, I guess it's like a very like, again, like it comes from like the metalhead era. Like everything's like very like do it yourself, like DIY.
Yeah.
So I feel like I used to be the guy, you know, like I was playing the record, I was making the art for the record, I used to print it myself, I used to like cut it, glue it, tape it, I used to make the posters, I used to make the t-shirts. So I feel like all that stuff, again, like everything bleeds into what I am now. So I feel like with art, again, like I do 99% of the stuff myself. Like I have a few times that, you know, like I'm not a logo designer, but like I know people now that they're really good at that. So I'm like, yo, can you please help me with this? Or like if I need like a video of me doing something, you know, like a behind the scenes or something like that, I'm not a videographer, I'm gonna hire somebody to do that. But most of like the stuff that is like music and, you know, like audio and the actual images, I do everything myself, like branding, website, store, online, like everything I do myself, because it's like the way that I was like raised, I guess.
And it makes sense. I mean, the precision comes through, right? And then whatever it is, right? You said it's a control freak situation, like whatever it is, it clearly comes through in every aspect and in every detail. Like I said, from the music that you're creating to overlay with the piece, and to how it moves into the line. I mean, the lines, like the lines are incredible. Yeah, precision is definitely a word that comes to mind when I think about Victor Mosquera's art.
Oh, thank you, man. That actually pretty like yeah, like it means so much, because like sometimes you don't know how you're coming off, you know, like what, dude, one of my worst fears in life is like, when you see somebody and that person is like I dress well, like I cook good, and then everybody in the room is like, no. But then in his mind he's like the guy who like is funny, or like he cooks good, or like he looks good, or something like that. So like you never know how you're perceived, and I've never been the guy who to be like, this is how I'm, like this is how people see me, because that's not up to me. So it's good to know that that's kind of like my intention is kind of like being perceived, you know, like it's really good to hear.
It is. Let me tell you a quick story. I just have to interject here to tell you this quick story. So that is definitely,
yeah, I need to know now.
That is definitely how you're perceived. But you know what that made me think of? I had a metal phase, I had a punk rock phase as well. And it's set junior high school, must have been high school because we're in a car. My buddy's driving us to school, and there's punk rock on, and we're all singing at the top of our lungs, right? So how, in terms of what I think we're all belting out, lyrics and having a good time, right? My friend goes, man, Raj, you really think you're singing well right now. That's the funny part.
Oh, dude.
And it took my world, like turned it on its axis, and it was just never,
killed it right there, dude.
It was never the same.
Oh, but dude, exactly. That's what I mean. Like in your mind, you're like, I'm killing this so hard, and then everybody in the car is like, dude, shut up, like.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, that's actually my worst fear for everything, dude.
Yeah. And then that ruined my dreams of being the lead singer for Killswitch Engage. But
dude, imagine that would have been a dream, man.
Yeah, I don't have the tools. I don't have the tools.
No, but dude, like I honestly, it's like I think like everybody can relate. It's like it's very hard to know. Like even in the morning, like in the morning you're like, oh cool, like yeah, like I look good and I shave or whatever. But like you never know, like you never know how people perceive you once you step out of your house, or like like you might think you're the smartest guy in a class, but like you never know what people know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting concept, and it's very like subjective too. Like the same way that like it's like art. It's like for me, this piece doesn't say anything, but for you, it can mean the world. So it's like it's very. I guess that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
What's the quote? There's a famous quote. It's like I don't know. I'm brutalizing the paraphrasing of this, but it's like once the artist hands the work, like once the artist releases the work, it's no longer their interpretation, or it's no longer their story.
Oh yeah.
Something
yeah,
like
like it's true, man. Like even like at shows, I've been like lucky enough that I've been able to do like shows like real gallery shows where people come in and like talk to you and like interact with you and ask you questions. Dude, like literally like one of the first things that somebody asked me is like, dude, literally at shows I get three things.
Okay.
One, the first thing that they tell me is like, I never thought you were going to be this way. Like seeing your art and like seeing you, like how you talk and everything, I never imagined that you were going to be like this. And I feel like people imagine that I'm gonna be, you know, like hey man, what's up? Like a yogi, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like super like I don't know, like I get like a hippie, you know, like level 9,000, and it's like I don't know. Like I guess that just by judging with like the art. So I get that one a lot, and then I also get the classic like, hey, like what's your inspiration for this, or like what were you thinking about this? What does this means, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like honestly, like to me, it's like I never, not never, but like most of the times I'm like I don't want to say what it means to me, because like there's some pieces that I do that are very specific, and that I really want to say, you know, like this is what it is. But most of my work, every piece, it literally has like a meaning to it, and every piece I do a lot of like symbology in my work. So it's like you're gonna see a lot of like actual symbols, but you're also gonna see a lot of like, for example, I do a lot characters with like this massive, almost like a helmet, big head. To me, that's one of the things that I've been very, you know, like maybe like vocal about it. Like that's like a very specific thing that I said that is meant to like symbolize like the ego. So it's like this big heavy thing that everybody's carrying it, but like at the same time it's like protecting you in a way. So it's kind of like a big helmet. So that's one of the things that I'm like, this means that. But most of my work, I'm like, I love how, tell me what it means to you. Like
It's
to
for
me, it's
you to
even more
decide.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, and like honestly, like the most interesting stories that I've heard about my work is that, dude. Like I remember, like, man, like one time in Mexico, I was doing like a festival with some friends from Seattle, and I'm actually like part of this label that is called Foreign Family. Shout out to Foreign Family, check it out. It's like a music label. Odessa created this label, and they, you know, like endorse a bunch of like new musicians and like visual artists. So it's like it's like a creative powerhouse, and we did a festival in Mexico 2019. It's called Sandara. So it was like a good chance to like, you know, like literally hang out with the crowd, like hang out with people, get to know
That's where your art's on the side of the stage.
yes,
right?
yeah, that one. Insane, dude. Like I think about it to this day and I'm like insane, like mind blowing, dude. Dude, and I remember like one guy told me he came with a wife, and he bought a print and he wanted to like sign it and everything, and then he kind of like stayed to the side for a second until I was done doing something else, and then he's like, yo, can I tell you something? And I'm like, yeah. And he was telling me that he was like in I don't know, like Iraq. He was a soldier, something like that. He's been there for like 4 years. He just came back to like home with his wife. So the whole time the wife is looking at me like almost like about to cry. Like she was like very like emotional about it. And I was like he came with like such a heavy thing that I was like, oh wow. And then he kept telling me that he's been going through a lot, obviously, because like, you know, like imagine being a soldier.
Yeah.
And then he was saying that he just came back and he just bought this piece of art, and that this piece of art symbolizes this new life for him. Dude, I was like, I was about to cry. I was like, dude,
Wow.
like, yeah, like that's insane.
And that has to
So
be
it's like,
that has to be so like meaningful to you in return when someone
oh,
says
dude,
that about your work.
dude, that I'm never gonna forget that.
What was the art, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a piece called Safe and Sound, which is like a girl who's like covering her ears. Yeah, but like, dude, it's crazy to hear like stuff like that. Like I'm sure like it happens with music too. Like I'm sure like a bunch of like the artists, I know it has happened to Fred too. Like people like connect with like different things, you know. It's like people connect with like there's albums that to me symbolize a specific time in my life. There's albums that right now symbolize a new chapter in my life, you know. Like I just moved to Vancouver, and like I know there's a few songs that because I heard them now, it would always remind me of like moving to Vancouver, you know. The same way that when I moved to Toronto from Colombia, there's like I will always remember like the top 10 from like 2013 in Toronto, because like that's literally like what they were playing, you know.
Name a few. What were the top 10?
Oh, dude. One Direction, Story of My Life. There's this band from Toronto called Hadley, something like that.
Okay.
There was a song from Katy Perry. I don't know the name. There's a song from this. I think it's a Canadian band. The video is black and white. I forgot the name. They're huge. It's not Animal Collective, but it's something like that. But yeah, there's a few songs that like if I listen to them, I'm like, oh, 2013, minus 40 degrees.
Takes you right back.
Toronto, yeah.
Minus 40 degrees. Brutal.
Oh yeah, dude, it's insane. Like literally, that's one of the main reasons why I just moved to Vancouver. Like it was way too much. And I'm Colombian, so I cannot take winter that well.
So what are you doing in Canada?
Oh, because dude, like I actually love Canada so much. Like I love, especially now that I'm in Vancouver. I feel like it's like a different lifestyle. In Toronto, I was in Toronto because I was working for Ubisoft. So I didn't choose Toronto. I was kind of like there because the company was there. But yeah, I love Canada. Like honestly, like besides the cold, everything is great.
I hear good things. I have a good friend whose wife is from Canada, and I hear only good things.
Dude, it's amazing. Like honestly, I feel like the only thing is the cold, because I feel like if like Toronto or like Vancouver had like LA weather, yeah, it would be way too many people living there. Like everybody will live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane, man. Yeah, but like I didn't choose, you know, like where to go, but like again, like there's like certain things that you connect with that it would always remind you of that. Or like when, you know, like when people say, oh, this smells like my house when I was a kid, or like my grandma's cooking or something, you know what I mean? Like there's always like very like biological in the way that you connect with things. So I feel like with art and music, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I feel like with music and art, that happens all the time too, because like there's things that really mark you in a way that is like a tattoo, you know, like when people get tattoos of like this represents, you know, like never forget a family member, never forget this hard time in my life, never forget, like it's thing that really means something to you, so it becomes part of your life. That's why you have, you know, like art in your walls. That's why you have like t-shirt, like a t-shirt of a band. That's why you have a tattoo. That's why you collect albums. That's why you collect art books. That's why, dude, literally that's the reason why art is so important in like life.
Yeah, like collecting art in some way, shape, or form is ingrained. It's in our DNA. It's literally the fabric of being a human being is finding some form, right? Yeah,
it becomes part of you, honestly. Like there's like bands, and there's like names of like artists, there's like specific pieces of art, there's like things that become you know what I mean? Like it's always going to be a part of like your life forever.
So let's talk about a milestone on your journey, something that might actually be a cool tattoo. The artwork Rabbit Hole for
New
York Times, right?
Yeah, that was cool, man. Yeah, dude, like honestly, like that was like just like it came out of nowhere. Like I talked to somebody, reached out to me. They loved a piece that I did called Meridian, which is actually like my second NFT ever. And they just really liked it. They just really liked it, and they wanted to do something almost just like that for the show. And it was weird because I didn't know. I'm not a very, you know, like I guess like political guy. Like I don't follow, you know, like news podcasts, or I don't follow any news. I don't watch any, you know, like I don't read news. I mean, I kind of like know by default because like everybody's talking about this or that, but I don't actively, you know, like follow any news outlet or anything like that. So when they came to me, I was just like really happy because like the New York Times is like huge, you know, it's always like a check in like an artist's career to do something for the New York Times. And then they kind of like told me the idea about it. They showed me some like early on, you know, like tests that they were doing for the show and kind of like the dynamic of it. And I didn't like thought too much about it. I was like, yeah, I just want to do it because it's the New York Times. Like I don't know how big this podcast is going to be. And then dude, literally like it releases, and then like within the first week I have like dude, random people, like not even like my artist friends, random people that I haven't talked to in like 2 years, being like, yo, is this you? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, bro, what? Like, this is huge. I'm like, wait, is it? Like, thanks, dude. Like, dude, that piece is also funny because I have got the same amount of messages being like, bro, this guy copy you or something like that. And I'm like, I'm like, bro, I did it.
I saw that on recently on Twitter. Someone said that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and like DMs on Instagram, like not even, dude, like literally, like the first like 2 weeks, I have people being like saying like, yo, have you seen this guy? Like, who did this? I'm like, bro, I did it. They're like, oh yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah, that was funny, dude.
There was like a Twitter message of someone who was like insinuating and like, this looks a little bit too much like this, and you're like, yeah, that's because I'm the guy.
Yeah, I was like, dude, honestly, like every time that I reply to that, I'm like, dude, you have a good eye. Because like you can tell right away, which is like, dude, honestly, like that's also one of the things that I don't know how I'm perceived, but I'm striving for that. Some of my favorite artists, again, like music, art, writers, you can see something, hear something, or read something, and you can be like, it's this guy. Like right away, you're like, is this person? Like, I'm pretty sure this guy did it, because that's a signature style. That's and I hate saying style, because style sounds something that you find, like find your style or something like that. I hate that, dude. Like, I feel like when you can recognize something from somebody is because you are now sensible to their taste, and you recognize what they are sensible to, so you subscribe to that. So you recognize what moves you, and you recognize what a specific thing moves you. So it's like what you were saying is like you're trying to like figure out in your brain why are you moved by something. And then, dude, weirdly enough, not enough people do, like sit down and take the time and be like, yeah, I like this because of X and Y, so I feel like, dude, like that's like the ultimate compliment that you can give somebody. It's like when people were like, yo, this looks like your stuff, I'm like, thank you, like I did it. Like that's
and you have that. You clearly, from my perspective, you clearly have that. And I think it's an interesting framing too. I'm trying to wrap my head, around not liking to approach it, framing it with style per se. It's almost seemed more like an essence.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, dude, it's super important, man. Like getting into something more like art specific, like I guess more like philosophical, I guess, in a way. I feel like there's a lot of people talking about style, and this doesn't happen, like just now with the crypto. Like I've been seeing this for, again, more than a decade, and just people being like, how do you find your style? How do you find your style? Like, and that to me, that's like a very, because I did it too. To me, that's like a very amateur student way of thinking. You know what I mean? And the reason is because when you're asking for a style, like when you're like searching for a style, you're searching, dude. That's literally me being like, hey man, like why did you get that hoodie? You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like, dude, like you saw it in a store and you liked it because of something. There's so many people buying, like shoes because, I don't know, LeBron James have the same shoes, or like Justin Bieber have the same shoes. So there's a lot of people that not doing the thinking for themselves.
They're searching outside themselves for the thing. Yes. Right.
Yeah. They're looking for like validation.
Yeah.
So I feel like with the style, it's something like that. It's like literally me asking you like, yo, are these cool? Like, are these cool shoes or not? Like, should I buy these shoes? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not you. Like, literally,
make the call.
Yeah, dude. There was one interesting thing that I used to do all the time, and every time I was like mind blown, and I was like, I don't get it. When I was working at Ubisoft, they used to send a few artists to like conventions, like student conventions, or people were do portfolio reviews and this sort of stuff. And dude, a lot of the times, like, again, I'm not like the most, like, I guess like I'm very like not conventional, I guess, in the way that I do things when it comes to like asking questions and doing interviews and stuff like that. So everybody was like, so what's your inspiration, that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, that tells me nothing. So I used to get, like a guy in front of me, and the guy is like, yo, this is my portfolio. And I literally, it took me like 10 seconds to look for it because I already know what's happening. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask you one thing, and with this I already know everything about you, literally, like about you as an artist. And I was like, what music do you listen to? And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, like what music do you listen to? And they're like, what does that have anything to do with art? Like, it's not related at all. I'm like, I know. What do you listen to? And they're like, dude, literally, this is like 90% of the kids in Toronto that I talk to. They're like, I don't know, Drake? I'm like, cool, yeah. Everybody likes Drake. Why do you like Drake? Literally, everybody was like, I mean, I don't know, he's just cool. And I'm like, yeah, but why is he cool? And they're like, I don't know, dude, like the beats are sick. And I'm like, why are the beats sick? They're like, dude. And they couldn't articulate why they like Drake.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they were like asking me like, wait, like, is it bad? Like, Drake is cool, right? And I'm like, I don't like Drake. But, like, I can tell you why I don't like Drake. You tell me, like, there's no wrong or good, you know? It's like, you tell me why you like him, and that's cool.
Yeah.
The same way, if you like, you know, like a writer, it's like, or if you like an actor, it's like, hey, do you like, I don't know, Brad Pitt? Is like, yeah, why? Because he's pretty. It's like, okay, dude, like, is he a good actor? Like, why is he a good actor? Why is this musician a good musician? Why is this writer a good writer? You know, so like you should be able, as a human being, without an art education, without a music education, without any, like, I guess, like, formal traditional education, you should be able to articulate why you like things. And it should be more complex than, oh, because it looks pretty, or because it sounds cool. That's literally saying, like, I like Drake because the beats are sick. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that tells me, like, cool, I guess, yeah, but that tells me nothing, you know? So I feel like the search for style is kind of like the same way. It's like, I'm looking for what's cool, or I'm looking for what I can do. It's like, hey man, literally, like, the best artists that I know, their style is literally their taste, more than, you know, like, how good are they, how steady their hand is when they're drawing, how anything, is their taste, how they see things and how they process those things in their brain, and how they translate those experiences, or like whatever inspiration it is, into like a piece of art. That's what I'm subscribing to, and that's what art is in a way. That's why so many songs, you know, like talk about like a specific things. Like, there's many songs about, like, hard things in life and like heartbreak and that kind of stuff. And that's the reason why it connects with people, because people can relate to something and people pick up on like specific things that matter to them, as opposed to be like, dude, that's literally me being like, dude, today I want to like come back to the music world. Am I supposed to, you know, like, make sick beats like Drake or like trap or something like that? It's like, no, dude, like, just literally make what moves you.
Yeah.
And if it moves you, it's gonna move somebody for real.
So it's like,
But
go ahead.
Yeah, like, just like, don't think about like, what should I be doing, or like, what's cool, or like letting, you know, like, everything like influence you in a way that you don't know why. You should always be able to like internalize and like justify it to yourself, and like be honest with yourself about like why you do certain things, and why you connect with certain things, and why you like certain stuff, you know?
That's powerful. It's an exercise in introspection, right?
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And maybe, you know, the literal exercise in introspection, maybe if someone finds themselves asking those questions and is thinking like, maybe I don't know what else, just sit in an empty room with nothing, right? And think for 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, dude, like that. And that goes to like life too, you know? It's like, it doesn't have to be, dude, like, art is the simple stuff, you know? It's like, art is like, why do I like red? Oh, I like red because it reminds me of like whatever, you know? Like, you can justify art, but like, art is something that, again, it's supposed to be like a nice thing. It's supposed to be like a plus to your life.
You just said a key word. You just said justify, right? And I think part of the process is not having to justify anything, right? You feel the way you feel, you tap into that, you do that layer of introspection, and whatever comes out of that, even if it's a very simple answer, even if it sounds cheesy, even if it sounds silly, it's yours, right? And so being able to then present that is all that matters.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you have to be conscious. Not always, but like, I feel like it's like, dude, actually, you know what? Like, I feel like you're doing it in an unconscious way. When you that you just said that you like do an output of something and you kind of don't know about it, and you don't have to justify it. I'm sure in your brain, without your conscious, like being, knowing what's up, I feel like you're like yourself and like in your subconscious mind or whatever took that decision for a reason. You know what I mean? Like there's something in the back of your head that is making decisions even without you knowing it, and that's kind of like, I know that it sounds like super like hippie or whatever, but like it feels like nobody does something for no reason, Yeah. So I feel like, I feel like, dude, I'm a big fan of like people who like do something and then you can tell that they actually like thought about it, and not like think about it like as like a sitting down and like, oh, I have to come up with something, but like thought about it as like in like it means something to them, and you can tell that from like like looking at it or like listening to it, reading it. I feel like the things that connect with people are things that are like come from a real place, as opposed to like again, liking Drake because everybody likes Drake, or like making art because crypto art is like bringing a lot of like new money into it. I feel like there's always, I mean, in my opinion, there should always be something that it comes from a real place, and like it's kind of like our job to kind of like filter through like, I'm not gonna say garbage, but like, what I mean, like through filter to like most stuff out there to find like those real pieces of art, in this case being music or being art or like visual, like imagery, that connects with you. And I feel like it's also like subjective, like what I connect with is not going to be the same things that my neighbor connects with. So it might mean the world to him, but to me it means nothing. And that's why we can all exist in the same space, and that's why there's always like room for everybody in like a specific community,
So let's talk about something that really does hit home, at least when we're engaging in this dialogue here, and I bet you for a lot of other people. It's time to bring up patterns unfolding. So talk to me about, I guess maybe let me take a half step back from that. So patterns unfolding, by the way, your first work on SuperRare in the crypto art space. But let me take a half step back. How do you make the decision, I am going to now release an NFT in the digital art space and become part of the wild, wild west?
Dude, it's weird because I'm still, again, like I was saying, like I always think about why am I doing things, and there's like reasons, like literally like stupid reasons, as like, I don't want to be like left behind, everybody's doing it, I want to do it too, or like everybody's making money, I want to make money too. But those are like, again, like the most like superficial reasons that you can think of. And it's like, even if people like justify, like saying like, oh yeah, no, I wanted to do it because it's like new space and new technology, it's like, yes, but everything is moved by community and money. So you want to be, you want to feel part of a community, and you want to make money just to pay bills, just to invest in stuff, even if you want more money to invest in art, which is like something that I've been trying to do. And like people like Fred, like Fvckrender, is doing it. Like he's if you go to his Nifty, he has spent, I don't know how much money, but he has a pretty like decent collection for an artist, because I feel like a collector came into this space to do that, to collect. But as an artist, I feel like even me, like I just started collecting just now, and I have like 2 now in my collection. But it becomes a sense of like community that you're like, I want to, 1, support my friends, 2, own cool stuff that I think is cool and that connects with me, So I feel like the reasons why I got into this is because, again, I want to be part of the community that I've been part of, like, for like, again, like years and years. It's exciting because it's new. So it's like the same when, like Instagram came out. Like I used to do this community, like our community, like style, engaging and everything before Instagram. The reason why I got my job at Ubisoft was because I had a community on Facebook, and we were all doing the same thing that we do now on Instagram or whatever, on Twitter now.
Yeah.
But on Facebook. So I was literally like posting my stuff. I was doing dailies back in like 2012. I was just painting. It wasn't a daily render, but it was like a daily painting for me to improve. So like doing something every day and like kind of like being engaged with the community and like literally doing the same thing that we're doing right now. I feel like,
Mhm.
you know how like people talk about like crypto as like cycles, and like this is like my first cycle because this is the first time that I buy crypto, and then you have like these like more experienced guys who are like, oh, like you know
Been there,
nothing.
done
Like
that. Yeah.
yeah, dude. Literally, I feel like this is like my third cycle of like that, you know, like community building around art. So I did it on Facebook, got my like a more video game, you know, like concept art community going on there, and that's how I got my job at Ubisoft. Like it got to a point that, you know, like my work was like in the right eyes at the right time, and then I was able to do that. And then the same way I
Mhm.
transitioned to what I'm doing now. I was doing a full-time job, but I always wanted to, you know, like do my personal work for myself. And then Instagram was like the perfect
Yes.
chance to do that. So I have to rebuild a different community on Instagram. That's how I know Fred. That's how I know Mad Dog. That's how I know Euphoria. That's how I know most people that are into this space now. And I feel like now with crypto, everything is like kind of transitioning into Twitter.
Yep.
So I feel like it's like these like waves. It comes in waves of like, it's like a new movement, you know? So like I feel like right now it's very inspiring to see a bunch of my favorite artists and friends kind of like exploring this new territory and kind of like come up with ideas. Like we were saying before the interview, like one of the cool things about crypto is that you can make cool art, but then you can
Mhm.
also have like cool dynamics that is like not gimmicky, but like, I mean, it can be gimmicky, you know, but like if you do it in the right way, is something that is even more powerful, and it can connect with more people, not only because of the art. You don't rely on the art exclusively. You have more options and more outlets to express yourself and to connect with people. So I feel like that's one of the main things with crypto that really like caught my attention, is that you have like two mediums in one. You have like two times to like create chances to connect with somebody and like make something more unique, because you have two different components going at the same time, you know?
Very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
And so how does that all then? So you build community through Instagram. It's kind of part two of your community building journey, right?
Yeah.
You make these connections. You see some people doing some interesting things, and then how is that final decision made? I guess one, that it's going to be patterns unfolding as your first piece, and then two, how is it SuperRare that it's going to be your first platform?
Right. So with choosing the platform was more like I guess like I was like observing from the outside, you know? So it's like I didn't understand it. I was like, wait, what? And then I saw a few people doing it. I saw Kidmograph,
Mhm.
Gustavo.
Yeah.
He was doing it, and I might have asked him like, what is that? And then like, I don't know. It just didn't feel, you know, like real in a way. It just didn't feel like legit enough. So I didn't understand it, you know? So I was like, I don't get it. Like, okay. And then I saw Fred doing it. And then I was like, wait, what is that, dude? Like I saw Kidmograph doing it. Now you, like, what is this?
Yeah.
So because I'm closer with him, like I guess he FaceTime in and like, explained to me for like 2 hours what it was. And I was like, bro, like, wait, what? So like, because he introduced me like into a little world, I started like doing some research and like seeing what people were doing and like kind of like what was happening at the moment. And at the time, it felt like SuperRare was the more curated experience,
Mhm.
because you have to go through this whole application process, so not everybody can go in, which is to me something that is very important, because again, like you can have something like Rarible that, again, even now 2 months after, I'm not too familiar with it,
Mhm.
but it seems more, I get like wild
It's
than,
everything. It's just
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, and I don't know if I like the idea, because it's all about, you know, like freedom, and everything is like
Mhm.
decentralized, and like everybody's part of something, which makes sense, and like I'm all up for it. But at the same time, I've seen some stuff. Speaking of Kidmograph, I remember like one time I saw somebody like stole one of his pieces and put it into like you know what I
yeah,
mean, like
happens
that kind of
all
stuff.
the time on Rarible.
Yeah, dude, that's the point where I'm like, you're literally making the opposite of what this world is trying to achieve, which is like being legit and uh being real. Like those are like the gimmicky things that
Mhm.
make it look childish and make it look immature, and at the same time it's just really shitty, like straight up shitty, you know? So
It is.
I feel like with SuperRare, when I saw like, you know, like the entire platforms that were doing it at the time, SuperRare like stood up to me as like the more curated one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to just go with them. And then, but again, everything is new. Like right now, I'm doing this drop on Nifty because Nifty right now is like what I think is like the perfect experience. You know, it's like you're doing like a show. It's like I don't even like to use the drop word. Like I'm doing a drop. It feels like I'm dropping t-shirts. You know, like merchandise.
Right.
To me, it's like
an event.
everybody. Yeah, exactly. Like everybody's having like an exhibition. So it's a solo show for a day. You know, or like 2 days. So I feel like that's also why I decided to go with patterns unfolding, because to me, I also saw some people, not a diss to anyone, but like I saw some people just kind of like because it's so exciting. I saw some people getting like way too excited about it and just kind of like minting everything and like just being like, to me, which I get it. It feels like I need money, which again I get it. Like trust me, like I know many artists who like, especially like in other countries that is not like North America, that is harder to make, you know, like art for a living. Yeah, so I saw way too many people just kind of like going crazy with it, and like in my practice, even before NFTs, like a good chunk of my income, more than 50% of my income is I've been doing for years limited edition prints, and it's like nice paper. It's a collection item too. It's like signed, it's numbered, it has a value, it has a secondary market value. So in a way, because I've been doing that in kind of like the same method, like this is kind of like replicating the traditional, you know, like market, I guess, like standards,
Comes naturally.
like model. Yeah. So it feels like a good transition. So I feel I never release something that is kind of like, oh, I just did a sketch, or like something that I did 10 years ago. Here it is, buy it.
Right.
Because I'm not interested in selling you stuff. I don't want to make more waste into the world. If I create something, I want it to be special.
Mm-hmm.
Before with the prints is because again it takes more resources. Like speaking from like a, you know, like I don't want to like pollute more.
Yeah.
I don't want to create more waste. So making a print, it requires energy, it requires paper.
Sure.
So I only release stuff that is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very special to me, and I want it to be special to you as well. So with NFTs, I maybe because that's the way that I've been approaching it forever, I don't see why, because it's more easy to do, I guess. Like I can just mint from my laptop and that's it. I don't see that as a reason to do it more. Like I don't, it doesn't justify, you know. So in my case, especially with my first NFT, I wanted to do something very special, and I wanted to kind of like do it as like a, I am here, like
Yes.
this is how I'm starting strong. I decided to go with patterns because it's one of the most special pieces for me, you know.
And it says
yeah, but there's
the beginning of the beginning of an inevitable process is the quote attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you see that, that's a quote from Be Here Now, which is a book by Ram Dass. It's like a very like new era, I guess, kind of like famous book. But it's one of those quotes that you can apply it to your life in many ways. You know, it's like you can literally apply it to anything. And in my case, and in this specific case, it was like literally what was going on with NFT. Like the more I look at it, and the more I saw it, and the more things I like. There's also things about, you know, like crypto art that not that I don't like, but I'm not like a fan of that, you know. Like I'm not like super excited about it. Like what we were saying, like it's so accessible that now everybody can like take something and sell it and mint it, and you know what I mean. Like there's like good and bad for everything. But I see it, and I'm very sure that this is like the future of a bunch of stuff with, you know, like blockchain technology,
Sure.
and the way how art is, you know, like being, you know, like sold now, and how there's more, you know, like eyes on new artists and new mediums, like people that use, like for example, like 3D as a medium. That was like, you can think about that, you know, like 5 years ago, as selling a piece of 3D for like a personal work of 3D for like more than, I don't know, 2K. That you couldn't think of that, you know. So it's very exciting to see new just new things, and like how the whole market and how the whole industry is like kind of like evolving is very exciting. So I agree that this is something that you cannot stop. There's no stopping this, and like it's only going to get stronger. And you can see about the day, there's more and more people, like very like legit people coming into this space. So I feel like it's very exciting, and it's something that you cannot control and you cannot stop. So it felt like the right thing to do. Like it actually felt like something that you cannot avoid, and is like inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed when you release Patterns Unfolding is that you have this way about you. Again, it goes to the precision of your art, but it also goes to the precision of your communication. You know, if you go, you're involved on Twitter, but you're also not, right? Like if you go to your timeline, you're exact about the posts that you put out. Like you may comment support, right? That's different, right? You may comment congratulations to somebody or support.
Yeah.
But in terms of your main timeline, it's when you put a post out, it's because you want to, and it's thought through, and a lot of times it attaches to your art or to showcase something very specific. And then it's the same way when Patterns Unfolding came out on SuperRare. You know, yours truly over here was in agony through the bidding process.
Oh man.
But I also was learning the mechanics of SuperRare and thinking like, what is the timeline going to look like? You know, that kind of a thing. But you're very measured, and I appreciate that so much. It's like measured in your art, measured in your communication, measured in your handling of releasing the art and overseeing and managing the bidding process. Like very warm and appreciative of the bids, but just like letting it unfold, right? Just like letting the process take place.
Dude, I feel like there's also something that I guess like that's the way I am. Mm-hmm. That's the way that I want to be perceived, and that's the way that it comes out to me. Because like honestly, like I feel like especially with something like Twitter, you know, like mm-hmm. I guess like I had like a following on Twitter before crypto. Mm-hmm. And the way that I approach things, even on Instagram, like if you see my last post is from December. Mm-hmm. I haven't posted anything there before. I used to be very, you know, like I need to stay active. I need to feed the algorithm. Right. I need to, you know what I mean? Right. And I feel like, especially now, I'm not too involved in like the 3D community. I have a lot of friends who do 3D, mm-hmm. but I'm not a 3D artist. I don't follow a lot of 3D artists. I don't. Literally, besides my friends who do 3D, the one that I just mentioned just now, and maybe like a few more, like Blake Catherine is amazing. There's no 3D that really inspire my work or like inspire me artistically. So I feel like there's something that I've seen with 3D that because it's so accessible and so, I guess, like you can do it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I don't know, like having Ableton. You know, like you have Ableton and you can do all sort of stuff like super fast, like FL Studio. You can do a bunch of stuff super fast. Back in the day, that will take you, you know, like you have to record on tape or something like that. So it's like It's more accessible in a way that people have the output is way more, you know, just because it's so accessible and like not easy to do, but like you can do stuff faster, you know. So I feel like I'm not somebody who, especially at this point in my career, I don't feel the need to have an output just for the sake of having an output. I don't want to, again, it's what we were saying about the NFTs or the prints. I don't want to like make more waste into the world. I see, you can scroll on Twitter every day and you can find stuff from like the throwback to this piece or like whatever, you know. I don't want to feed you stuff that you don't need and that I don't want to tell you. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of like being in your timeline or like, hey, don't forget about me. It's like, I feel like the people who are like long, you know, like fans of mine or fans of my work that have been supporting me forever is people that I don't need to remind them like, hey, I'm here. Like, don't forget about me. That's not a real fan of your work. That's not a real follower. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like I don't want to be that guy who needs to like tell you or remind you every time that I'm here just for the sake of like staying relevant. Mm-hmm. Which is, even though I think like that, it's always in the back of my head. I'm like, fuck, I hope people still remember that I'm here. Like, I have a drop on the 4th. I haven't posted anything since December. I hope people still, you know what I mean? Like it's always in the back of my head, but I feel like to me, it has always worked for the better just to be like, hey man, this is special to me. Here it is. And it will hopefully be special to you, as opposed to being like, yeah, here's this sketch. That's why I also don't post too many sketches. I literally have like, you know, like books like this by the dozens, full of like, I don't know, like little like sketches and like little ideas and stuff like that. But I'll never post something like this, you know, like this is just for me to like come up with like little ideas and like,
I like that one.
Oh dude, this is just like literally like just doodling to like, yeah, I do this a lot actually, like come up with like little thumbnails of like what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I have this literally like boxes of this. I don't need, if somebody wants to see it, like I used to do it as like in conventions. People used to be like, oh, can I look at your sketchbook? I'm like, yeah, and like people like it, but I don't feel the need to be like, yo, I have 10,000 pages of like little things, because that's not what I want you to look. I want you to give you a thing, like a product. I want to give you like a final result of introspection, sketching, ideas, you know, like filtering, like what I use for inspiration and how I filter it, and then like this is it. I want you to look at this. That's why I don't show like many like work in progress or anything like that, even though it's cool. But like I just like to give you like a finished piece of work, a finished song. You know what I mean? It's like,
and again, it all feels connected. It all just feels authentic, right? To Victor Mosquera, as I understand. In my perception, right, of Victor Mosquera, every piece of the puzzle, right, that precision piece, right, you know, you called earlier, you know, you're like your OCD over a work of art. It all comes together through even your management of the process, your management of the communication surrounding your artwork. In my opinion, it adds to the artwork. In my opinion, it adds to the, you know, that's that authenticity. This is a real person. This is a real artist. And he's doing something very unique.
Thank you, dude. That literally means the world, because like I feel like, especially nowadays with like social media and algorithm and this and that, I feel like more and more artists that I talk to, they not all of them, but there's a lot of like people who can relate more to like the term like content. Like, oh, I need to do content for my timeline. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I don't care about content. Like, to me, content means absolutely nothing. I don't need content. You know what I mean? Like I need things that I can have with my life. Like I literally like have like, you know, like I don't know, like a book. Like if I get a book like this, for example, is because I don't want to have books in my shelf just to look like I read or something like that. You know what I mean? I literally, these are the books that I always have with, like I check them every day, or like if I need inspiration, I go to them, or like they mean something to me, you know. I mentioned that I moved to Vancouver recently, and like even Fred, like Fvckrender.
Wait, one sec. Wait, finish your story, but pull the book back over, because I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay,
But keep going with your story. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So he was just saying, like, dude, like, what do you have? Like, what? I have a bunch of boxes like from Toronto. And he was like, what is all this? And it mainly was books. So it's like it's things that, even though it's a book, it means so much to me that I don't want to get rid of it, because it's a part of like my life. You know what I mean? So I feel like that should be with everything. That should be with art. Like if you buy a canvas, like that's gonna be in your house. It should be something that means to you. If you buy clothes, that's why literally every time, and I'm guilty of this too. Like when I was moving, I threw away so much garbage that I was like, why did I buy this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's easier to control with your output. It's easier to control that, because like again with clothes, you're like, oh, I'm cold, I'm gonna get a jacket, and then 2 months later you're like, hate the jacket.
Yeah.
But with art, it takes so like it's so hard, at least for me, because like, I'm drawing everything from scratch. I'm again, like I show you, like I'm sketching. It takes more than, I don't know, 2-3 days to make something that I'm proud of. So because it takes more effort to do it, I feel like I don't want to like just create something just for the sake of creating, just because it takes so much out of me. So it's like it's also like an energy thing, you know. It's like I'm not like, I cannot do I mean I can, but like I won't be proud of something that I did in like 10 minutes.
No.
So in my case, I'm like, okay, I want to spend the time doing something, and I have the energy to do it, but I cannot do it, like 24 hours a day. So I want to be very, like selective and very thoughtful about what I release into and what I put out into the world,
Now, would you ever at a later date, right? Let's say, the Victor Mosquera crypto art era, this community build takes place, and I mean, obviously, I think you're already a legend, but I think that will
thank you, man.
that will all take shape and take place. Would you ever consider at a later date, like taking a sketchbook and literally like selling that to a collector as the complete reverse of your philosophy today?
Oh, that's interesting. You see, this is why I need to talk to you about dynamics and stuff like that. I never thought of that. That's super interesting. I mean, maybe if maybe, well, actually, like now, because this is coming out today, one day before the drop, one of the pieces will come with an original sketch. So I feel, yeah. So I feel like one of the things that I do with my work, I'm very interested in like, like you have people like Pac that is like very, I guess the medium it fits really well with what he does, and like the more like digital aspect of it fits better. I feel with, again, like my taste and like the way that I've been doing work, and even the way that I work, again, like I do a lot of stuff in like pen and paper, or like even if it's like in an iPad, I'm drawing everything. Like even if it's in Photoshop, I'm drawing everything. I feel like I always have like that traditional art, like aspect super ingrained in my brain, and I never want to be, like, I don't consider myself like a digital artist. I'm an artist. That's it, So like I always want to have like that physical element, just because, one, because I can do it, and two, because I love doing it. Like if I buy something from somebody, I love feeling, like I'm that freak that looks at the paper and like the packaging, like how it comes back. Like I'm super like,
it becomes tactile. Becomes tactile as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So but then that's the reason why I want to make it special, because like it's easy to like, yeah, here's this, I don't know, this plastic thing that is contaminating the world, and like you're probably gonna throw it away tomorrow. So it's like, to me, it's like I want to give you something that, one, is like special part of your life, and if you literally like grab it and touch it, you're like, oh my god, like I can only compare it to like I used to collect a bunch of like vinyls. So like you open the vinyl and like it smells nice, and like the poster, you unfold it and it's amazing. Like it's now with crypto is like an experience, how the dynamic work. To me, it's also an experience that is like a third component, a physical thing that you can like smell, touch, feel. Like that to me is also like an aspect of the work.
Yep. I appreciate that. I mean, childhood, I come from even like sports cards and comic books were big in my childhood and growing up, right? And
oh wow,
comic books were, tactile. The paper mattered, and the cover mattered, and how you would open it, that to protect the sanctity of the pages as you.
Dude, I love that so much.
Yeah. So that makes
it gives you like a more religious aspect to it. You know what I mean? It's more like
absolutely is
like a ritual. It's like, dude, I'm gonna like listen to this record. So you sit down, like you have this leaf, and like you read the lyrics, you pay attention to like the design of the work. You know what I mean? So it's like it's almost like comparing like a Spotify playlist to an album. It's like I will probably, exactly. Like I will probably listen to the Spotify thing just because I'm in my phone.
Yeah.
But if I actively wanna listen to like something and like experience it, I'm gonna sit down and like, I don't know, like put like good music, look at the thing, read it, read out the credits. I want to see like who mastered this record, who mixed it, where was it recorded, like who did the cover. Like I'm that kind of guy. Like even with books, I'm the guy who like goes to like the end and he's like, what typeface did they use? Like where did they print it? Is it China? Is it Europe? Like I'm always like looking for like those little details that makes it more like mine, I guess. It's like I'm experiencing something as opposed to be like a background thing. I don't want art to be like a background thing.
I remember getting albums as a kid and the lyrics. Like I poured over the lyrics and the nuances, and some bands would put out, you know, explanations or like references where, you know, stories about, you know, this particular lyric, maybe at this particular show and how it came to life. And I don't know, I always was.
Oh, it's amazing. I do. I love that so much. Like, honestly, like I feel like I'm, I guess maybe like too romantic when it comes to that stuff, but that's the aspect that got me into art in the first place. So it's always going to be like in the forefront with me, no matter if it's NFT, if it's physical, if it's prints, if it's canvas, if it's a one-on-one on SuperRare, if it's a drop on Nifty, if it's this or that. Like in 20 years, God knows what we're gonna make doing. Like what platform we're gonna use, what medium are we gonna be using. But like everything, again, that's why it's so important to like have your taste and like having like who you are as a person to clear, so that translates into everything. So like literally, like even with the change to NFTs, the only thing that I have to change in my brain is like the more tech aspect of it and the more financial aspect of it, because it's not inspiring my art. It's not dictating anything, you know, like design related. It's not inspiring me in any way that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a piece of work with like I don't know. I was giving shit to Fred the other day, like I'm not doing anything with the Ethereum logo, like, you know what I mean? It's like to me, this is just something that we're using right now, and it's something that is very to me, it's a tool. To me, it's something that we're using to create community and to like bond with each other. So to me, the important thing is what we're having right now, like me and you talking about art because of NFTs and because of crypto. But crypto itself is not the main thing. I'm not gonna say it's not important, but it's not the main thing to me at all.
It's interesting. I mean, I appreciate that messaging. It's just there like I use the word authenticity. I'll also use the word depth. It's almost like the conscious subconscious conversation that we were having, right? And you had said, you know, some may be unaware of like really tapping into the subconscious reasons why, you know, why something is going on. They're staying surface level. So what you're saying to me now in terms of you know, crypto or Ethereum not necessarily being the important thing, it's like you are boiling things down, right? You're breaking through that barrier. You're going to the common denominator, right? The core of it all.
You have to. Okay, literally, I'm gonna put you like this example. It's like if I'm talking to you and I'm like your close friend, and like I love you because you're the way you are. You know, like we've been through some stuff together. I love you as a person. So let's say that technology happened in like a year. So if in January I was talking to you in like SMS Messenger, you know, like back in like that, you're the one talking, you're the one that I'm connecting with. This doesn't matter. This is the way that we're doing it. You know what I mean? And then fast forward like years later, we're doing this. We're doing a Zoom thing, but it's you and I'm talking to you, and like I'm doing this and I'm having a good time because it's you, not because it's Zoom. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like the important thing is like who you are as a person in the you know, like artist, kind of like, so talking about art specifically. What's important to me is what the artist is saying, what that artist has to say. I love his technique. I love his taste. That's what's important. If it's Facebook, cool. If it's Instagram, cool. If it's Twitter, sick. If it's crypto art, dope. But ultimately, I'm subscribing to the artist. I'm not subscribing to the platform. I'm not subscribing to the medium. I don't care if it's a canvas. Like, I'm not even talking about crypto art. If it's a canvas or if it's a drawing, I don't care. I just like what this artist has to say. So that's why to me, I don't like to say that crypto means nothing to me, because like it is important the same way that, you know, like a website is important, or the same way that a pen is important. But it's not the main thing, and it shouldn't be. It should be the topic of conversation when it comes to like logistics. But ultimately, we're selling art. So if you're selling art and your main focus is the platforms and the dynamics and the Twitter and this and that, becomes empty. I didn't subscribe to you as an artist because you know how to do SuperRare really well, or because you're really good at understanding how a blockchain works. I'm a fan of you because, again, to me, it boils down to your taste and who you are as a person and what you have to say. That's it.
Mm-hmm. So wait, the book.
Oh yeah. Dude,
I didn't forget. I want to know what that book's all about.
Oh, dude, like literally, that's what I have all the time here. I have a bunch of books that I need to. I'll show you, dude. I have a few that are like super important to me, but
Yeah.
I'm just plugging this.
Sure.
The computer app. I have a few books that are like very important to me. Actually, the one that I just showed you is like extra like important to me because it's a book. This is a new edition. So an artist called a German guy called Roger Dean, one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Super inspirational. He used to do a lot of the covers for like like bands like Yes in Asia, like kind of like prog rock kind of stuff. And my dad actually gave me this book, like his book. He bought it, I don't know, back in like the 70s or something, or 80s, something like that. Wow. He bought it. He gave it to me when I was like, I don't know, like 10 or something like that. And it's something that is one of my main inspirations for what I do. Like I love, like even if you see like like the covers, like gradients,
yeah,
even the colors and everything. Yeah, so I literally the one, like the original one is back in Colombia. Like
I was gonna ask you, that looked like it was in way too good condition.
No, dude, like the original one is like on a vault in Colombia. This is like the version that I have here just to have it with me.
Yeah,
but it's not the one that I got as a kid.
That's I like that story. And I like that it's so special to you that you vaulted the original and got another copy to bring with you. And yeah, so you have one in each place.
This is the Canada version.
Part 2, the Canadian version.
Yeah, exactly.
So hey, I want to go back to SuperRare. So we and by the way, then we're gonna play a game. It's the lightning round. I don't know if you're familiar. It's gonna be good. We'll get there in one sec. So SuperRare, I just want to make sure to cover. So you have 3 pieces of art on SuperRare. The first piece of art we talked about is Patterns Unfolding. Man, and what incredible. Shout out to Goltra.
Oh yeah. Shout out Goltra.
And then we go to Meridian and then Alma.
Yes.
All right. So Meridian, to take the viewer back, that is the New York Times, right? A lot of similarities to the New York Times piece.
Yeah, that's the piece that they saw from like my portfolio, that they were like, wow, we would like to have something like this. They were pretty much like, have this. They actually tried to get that piece for the New York Times with minus the character.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want them to have that piece because that piece I didn't do it for them.
Yeah.
And I'm not into like licensing work. Like it feels way too, I don't know, like I guess like not personal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I always prefer to like do something custom, thinking about what I'm doing, like the specific project that I'm doing. Yeah. So we decided to do something inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
But something completely new that related more to the show and like it's more like universal, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Meridian has an owner now as well.
Yes.
Right. And then so that means the only unsold work on SuperRare is Alma.
Yes, that's the only one for now.
Quote attached to it: all the energy passes through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some similarities in look and feel to Patterns Unfold. Obviously, very different. I think what Alma stays face on, and the face comes apart, right?
Dissolves, kind of,
yeah. But I like you sort of have the same point on the head, the same interaction with that point on the head. That the melting away of the shell.
Yes, exactly. The vessel, dude.
Yeah, the vessel. There you go. Yeah, I love it. So that is the Victor Mosquera portfolio on SuperRare currently.
Right.
And it is an impressive one, and I imagine it will only go to greater and greater heights.
Dude, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. So you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, I am. I'm so bad at this, but like, yeah, dude. In English English is hard, dude.
I feel like you're good at it because like your core is breaking the barrier between conscious and subconscious. Like you're very good at articulating the depth, the feeling. And so in the lightning round, all that's important is to just like,
man, what if I say some shit that I regret later?
Well, I don't edit,
dude,
so it's
don't worry. I say all kinds of shit all the time. So like, I'm already like used to it.
Then we'll do a follow-up episode and we can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Lightning round. Here we go.
All right.
Number 1. First thing comes to mind: crypto art.
New.
Number 2, your favorite piece of art that is not your own.
My favorite piece of art that is not my own is probably a piece called Tarot by James Jean.
Great. Care to give like a one-line description of what that looks like?
Yeah. So it's like he has these like very surreal characters. This one is like particularly holding like a tarot card on it, and like from the card it's kind of like all the pieces kind of like pointing to it. Yeah, but then I also think, have you seen Dog by Goya?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's a piece that is literally like there's nothing in it pretty much. It's like smudges, and like it has been through so many like restoration processes that it's not even his now, you know what I mean? It's like it's a very old piece, and it's like about a dog in the water. But it's not even his piece anymore. It's like it has gone through like so many museums, so many restoration processes that it's now like this Frankenstein version of what it used to be. That also comes to mind as one of my favorite pieces ever.
Interesting. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this up after. I'm gonna read you a quote of yours, and I want you to give me your snap lightning round reaction. All right.
Oh,
So
wow.
number 3, quote: "When someone asks me what inspires you, I say my friends."
Yeah, true. That was for when Mad Dog did his Dead Mouse release, like very successful drop. It's true, man. Like I feel like there's like different kinds of inspiration, you know. Like I was talking about like artistic inspirations, you know, and like I was saying that with art is more like I look at like people that I never met in my life, you know, like Zorn and like Velasquez, Goya, Sargent, like people that have been, you know, like dead for centuries, you know, like that's where I look for inspiration when it comes to like art. But there's also an inspiration that I look for, like that is like, for example, with Fred, with Fvckrender, it's inspiring to see the guy doing, you know, like I'm not gonna say much, but like he's doing a crazy drop that is like, I know it's like it's very new, very revolutionary, and I feel like it's gonna like really like do like a mark in this like crypto world or whatever. That's inspiring to me. Like it's inspiring to see my friends working and doing good. Because like honestly, it's like one thing is like creative inspiration, but you also need inspiration for like life. You know what I mean? Like when you see like somebody who's like clean, and then you're like a bit messy, so you want to like tie it up a little bit. So you're like, oh, I wish I was more like that guy. Or like when you're like you're in quarantine and you've been eating, you know, like Funyuns for like 6 months, and then you see somebody really fit, and you're like, that's inspiration to me because like I want to be more fit. Like it's the same way. So when I see my friends doing good, like my real friends doing good, it's super inspiring to me because one, it hits more home because it's my real friend. And then it just pushes me harder to like, I'm like, okay, let's go back to the studio. Like, let's go. Yeah.
So I'm gonna bump something up into the slot because I feel like it just makes all the sense in the world. Let's go number 4, right. Fred Fvckrender.
Oh, who's that guy? Dude, yeah, no, dude. Fred literally is like my Canadian brother. Like he's like, to me, he's not even a friend. He's like my brother for real. That's like the first word that comes to mind.
That's perfect, brother. Number 5, the astral plane.
Subconscious, I would say. To me that's like almost like a silly like word, like silly words that I use to like describe something that is like not from this world, not from this dimension, not from this reality. It's something that it's kind of like, you know, like it's kind of like trying to explain like God. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like there's a lot of like studies and like a bunch of like people that, you know, like they say that they found, you know, like enlightenment, or like they try to explain death, or like, but I feel like literally trying to verbalize and put those things into words, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like it's like trying to explain, like how are you explaining something that you haven't experienced yet? You know what I mean? So for me, that is like kind of like playing with that concept and just being like, my art lives kind of like in this plane is something that I cannot even explain. There's some stuff that I cannot even explain how kind of like how it came to me in a way. Like there's stuff that I just feel like physically, you know what I mean? It's like like some of the broken faces is because I don't know, like I remember this is kind of like getting deeper into like backstory. Like one when I first started doing like more personal pieces while I was still doing, you know, like video game work, which is the time when I first moved to Canada. That was like a exciting times because again I was finally like, you know, like I was living in a different country. I was making more money than I ever thought making art in my life, so I was kind of like mind blown by it. But at the same time, it was like a time where, you know, like South American countries are very like family driven, very friends driven. So it's like everybody's very like the community is really strong, like really really strong. So all my life up until that point, I was surrounded by people 24/7, and not by like one person, like literally like just like a huge community that surrounds you. Even the neighborhood that knows you. Like if you go to a grocery store, they're like, "Oh, what's up, Vic? Like how's it going?" Like everybody knows each other, you know. And when I moved to Canada, that was literally like culturally the opposite. I didn't know anybody in Canada. I didn't speak English when I moved to Canada. Like my English was like literally 1% of what I'm doing right now. It was cold, so it was also like a very rough time. And I started having like I guess like anxiety episodes and like panic attacks and stuff like that. I was like, it really triggered something inside of me that I couldn't explain at the time. And yeah, like there's a bunch of pieces like the heads that are like fraction. That's like kind of like how I was kind of like describing, you know, like what I was feeling physically. So I was kind of like describing that into like actual pieces. That was kind of like me trying to like cope with it in a way, you know. So I feel like yeah, like where my pieces live, it's kind of like that plane where I can't even explain things, but that's just kind of like the way that I rationalize things and kind of like how I process things, and the output comes in that way. But that's kind of like the universe that, you know, like encompasses all that kind of stuff.
I enjoy thinking of figures or symbols or whatever existing on the astral plane. I think it's an interesting thought process and setting for the art that overlays it. So I like that concept.
Oh, dude, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, let's go to 6. Let's go concept that you have not tackled that you eventually want to explore.
A concept that I haven't, maybe death, because I feel like most, but like death in like a more sober way and like in a more human way. So it's like most of my work is it's kind of like an escape from that, you know, like again, like going back to what I was saying, one of the main thoughts that I was having like back when I was like in this very weird like mind space, I was like, dude, like I remember like up until that point, like you know that you're gonna die, but it's like kind of like in the back of your head, like yeah, I'm gonna die someday, but like so far away, like whatever.
Right.
And I remember like that, I don't know, for some reason, like something triggered my brain in those first years in Toronto where I was like, dude, like I'm alive right now. And I literally felt like I was like high. I was like, I remember being like, dude, like everything is like alive, you know what I mean? Like everything is like alive inside of me. Like it just hit me like a ton of bricks, like out of nowhere, like, dude, like I'm mortal and it's very, very real. And like, I've been taking it for granted for many, many years, like without even realizing, you know? So I feel like most of my work, not every, but like most of my work is kind of like an escape from that. Because it's a very like dreadful feeling, you know? It's a very, yeah, it's a very like, I'm not gonna say dark because it's like beautiful like in its own way, but like death is something that we all fear either for ourselves or like for like a loved one or something like that. So I feel like most of my work is like exploring what happens after death, like even like a universe where that doesn't exist. Like there's no time, space, gravity. Like that's why a bunch of like my work plays with gravity. Like there's a sense of like there's no weight to things, you know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of like my way of like not necessarily avoiding it, but kind of like seeing like a more positive or like an escape from like the actual like human death. So I feel like something that I would like to explore more would be death, not in like a dark way, like in a, you know, like like gothic, like heavy metal cover kind of way, but more in like in a real way, like in like, hey, like this is what happens in like physically, like we said earlier, like this is like a vessel, and like we're all gonna, like we're talking right now, but like we both, and Fred and my family and my friends and like the people in the street, everybody's gonna like leave that specific vessel at some point. So yeah, and kind of like segue to that, I started to do that a little bit with the Nifty drop that I have. Like the theme is kind of like pointing towards that. If you like, we can talk more about the Nifty drop after the lightning round if you want.
Yeah, let's give that a quick pause. Let's complete the 10, and then we'll get that's our last main event for today.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you'd like to say about that Nifty drop. All right.
Yeah.
So let's rattle these off. Number 7. I know that you're very particular in the best of ways about controlling every aspect of your work, right? But if there ever was a moment, who would your dream collaborator be?
Oh wow, dude! It has to be art or anything.
I'm interested in the answer in art, but I'm also curious as to where else you might take that answer. For
art, I would love to collaborate. I mean, yeah. Do you know an artist called Rauch? Rauch. It's a German artist, very like well known. He makes this like very surreal. They're dark in a way. It's like one artist that I feel like is very surreal, and at the same time is the most grounding art that you can see. Like it makes you feel like you're like there, and it's like something like mundane, but at the same time it's like completely surreal. Like I can send you the name after if you want to see it. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. That would be an awesome collaboration for like a real like art collaboration. And for like in general, dude, Pink Floyd, if I can make anything with like Roger Waters or David Gilmour, that would be like my life would be made.
And it goes right back to those vinyl records, right? The religious experience.
Dude, literally, I was thinking about this the other day, and there's a bunch of stuff. You're gonna see it in the Nifty drop too. I do, even in the New York Times, the rabbit hole cover.
Yeah.
There's a red circle, and I always do it. That is like a sun, a moon, an eclipse, an orb. Like there's always like a red circle, and it's always like most of the times it's red. That comes from when I was a kid. I was thinking about it. Like I didn't decide it to be like that way. I wasn't going like, oh yeah, like that, I'm gonna make that, like it wasn't like a conscious decision, but I was thinking about it the other day. And when I was a kid, I used to have a Pink Floyd Pulse album, and it was like a special edition that in the side of the packaging, it had like a little LED bulb, and it was a red circle, and it's pulsing. So the whole time, and
there it is,
dude, and years, like literally, I don't think it's pulsing anymore, but it lasted 20 years. Like my dad had it when he was like, I don't know, my age probably now, like, I don't know, 30 something, 40 or something like that. And like 5 years ago, it was working. So it's something that has been just pulsing there, and it's like a red dot thing. And I always went to bed, like when I was a kid, and like teenager growing up, I always went to bed, and the only thing I see is like everything is dark, and the only thing I see is in the shelf, that red pulse going right there.
And so yeah, lives on.
Yeah, dude, like I feel like honestly, like I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, maybe that's what I'm doing it. But like, yeah, to me, Pink Floyd, the music, it's always that reminds me of like my childhood. It also connects to that psychedelic rock, kind of like sci-fi, surreal, like kind of like elements that I really like. Even the animations, like if you see the animations for the wall, that literally inspire my animation right now. I don't want things to look perfect. I do a lot of my animation is frame by frame, because I just really enjoy how that looks, like how that feel of like very old, like vintage animation looks like. Yeah, so Pink Floyd to me is like massive.
That's the dream.
Let's
go 8. What work of art of yours is being slept on right now?
Oh wow. In what way? Because when you ask, it's being slept on right now, it's like people are not buying it.
See, creative liberties to take that answer wherever you might want to go. It doesn't have to be purely about money.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I feel like I can only think about money because I feel like there's no that a specific thing. Like we were saying, like art is like very subjective.
Yeah.
So there's like pieces that mean a lot to me that not necessarily for other people, but that's not sleeping on something. I feel like that's just the very nature of it. So I feel like if you're sleeping on something, I guess Alma, because it's the only piece right now that is not, you know, like collected by anybody. But yeah, like I feel like with the other pieces, I feel like I actually enjoy the variety of like people connecting with different stuff. So I don't want anybody to be like connected with just one piece more than anything else. I actually really enjoy that people have like very diverse opinions on like I love your black and white stuff. I love your more painterly stuff. I love the stuff that doesn't have lines. I love the stuff that is really clean, very precise. So I really actually like enjoy that variety of like connections that people, you know, like acquire to my work.
All right. Good answer. I appreciate that. Maybe poor framing by me.
No. Like it actually makes sense, but like I feel like it's also good. It's a good plug, man. Like it's a good plug for Alma too.
There you go. Check it out. SuperRare. How about this? What work of another artist do you think deserves more attention than it is currently getting?
Honestly, I feel there's a few pieces that comes to mind right now, like Share Vision from Fred. Actually, I can think about two pieces from Fred.
Okay.
Just Share Vision, and I think the other one is called Thorn, which is the collaboration with TOKiMONSTA.
Victor, you're gonna hurt my heart again. That's gonna be another piece that I'm the top bid currently, and I know I'm not gonna win the piece. So
man, but like I feel like we both can agree that piece, it deserves like a really good, you know, like offer from it, because it's so, again, like that's why I don't like to like talk about like monetizing things. I feel like that's like that's a conversation that I will have with like my manager, you know what I mean?
Fair.
I feel like it's easy to do it when you see numbers, like on SuperRare or Nifty, like when you see a number attached to the image, it's almost like impossible not to do it. And I feel like right now the bid that both of those pieces have, they're very special, especially the one with TOKiMONSTA. That I don't know if you're familiar with her music, but like she's incredible. So I feel like it's those two are like, I feel like people are gonna regret it later.
Yeah.
And I can think of those two actually for now.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's funny. In terms of Toki, I became familiar after Fred released that piece.
No way.
Yeah. And it actually was a joke.
Incredible.
He's like, do you know about? I'm like, I don't. And he's like, what are you talking about? Who are you? You've been hiding under a rock?
Dude, she's amazing. Like she's really incredible, and like she's like also like one of those people that, you know, like if you're involved in like that LA, you know, like Law and Theory beat scene back in the day, like she's like kind of like an OG also in like that community. So it's like I feel like that piece is like an OG from like the 3D community with somebody like Fred, and somebody with like that type of music community, which is Toki. So I feel like that's like literally like that one piece that is like golden, that nobody has realized that is golden right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
But maybe no one ever will realize it's golden, and then
you did.
And then I'll actually collect the piece, and then everyone will realize it, and I'll say I'm never selling. How about that?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, dude, don't do it. If you get it, don't sell it, dude.
No, the truth, of course. Please. I have many Fvckrenders and not nearly enough Victor Mosqueras, which the number is 0 right now, and so
man,
I will have to change that. I tried my best, man. I tried my best.
I know you did.
All right, let's move on. Let's go number 10. This is an interesting one. Ooh. If you could instantly acquire another artist's skill set and then bring it back to infuse with your own, whose skill set would you download into your brain and body?
Oh, that's crazy, dude. I have at least like a top 3. Like there's not one guy. Okay.
Give me top 3.
Do you know a guy named Kim Jung?
No.
Dude, after this podcast, be ready to get your mind like blown. Like it's insane.
I can't wait.
Not only because his art is insane, so you're gonna be blown away by the art.
Yeah.
But this is one of those people. I think he became like he's like viral
Mhm.
because he's a Korean artist, I believe, and he's somebody that became, I guess, famous because he's able to draw things from his mind, no reference, and he's able to draw everything in such a way that it looks like magic. So he has these like gigantic, you know, like canvases or like a gigantic piece of paper. He just starts drawing with like a marker.
Yeah.
And he starts drawing, no reference, no anything, nothing. He's just doing it like freestyling.
Yeah.
And then by the time he finishes, is this whole like fisheye lens perspective, and there's like
Nice.
1,000 characters, and everybody's doing a different thing, different angles. Dude, is this really like one of those things that you're like, he's an alien? Like this is not keeping real. Like that's unreal. So I feel like yeah, Kim Jung-gi is one of those people that even if you don't enjoy the specific, you know, like style that he makes, because it's very like, I guess like it's not anime, but like it's very like Asian in a very specific way.
Mhm.
And the topics are also too like, it can be like a little bit maybe like too comic book sometimes,
Mhm.
but I love it. But like even if you don't enjoy like the actual, you know, like the topic, like the themes that he works with, you cannot help but like just be amazed by his actual skill. Like the skill is unreal.
Right.
There's nobody like him.
Okay, so that's one.
That's one. There's a guy called Nicolas Uribe, which used to be a teacher of mine. He's an amazing painter. I can also send you
Yeah.
some stuff. His sensibility for like values when it comes to work,
Mhm.
like values in terms of like how he. This is like a more nerdy, you know, like art talk, is like the way that he controls uh tonality, like the
Mhm.
amount of light and dark in a painting is ridiculous. And I think my favorite artist in history like ever is Sargent,
Uh-huh.
which is like on an old master. He's one of those like guys who like every, you know, like he's like every artist's favorite artist, you know. It's like
Yeah.
he's like a class, like watercolors, oil painting, um drawing, like everything is absolutely unreal.
So there's your top three.
Yeah.
That was a good lightning round. It was a good combination of like quick and then going deep on a few
Oh,
of those.
dude, sorry. I'm like the
This-
worst at doing like a one word thing. I talk way too much, dude.
No, it's my favorite. My favorite part of the lightning round is that I don't know that I've ever done it with somebody who was just like bang, 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 bang. But that's the idea, right? We find something to talk about, right? Something that lights you
Yeah.
up, and we choose that one to go deep on. So Victor, at this point in time, I want to open the floor because I know we are all. Well, I'm going to speak for myself. I cannot wait until tomorrow.
Thank you, man.
And what can you share? What can you share? What can everyone expect?
And this drop is very, again, like I mentioned earlier, I think this drop is very art driven.
Mhm.
Like the dynamics are not crazy. It's just very it's thought out to be like enjoy the images, like enjoy the animations, enjoy the sounds. So if you can grab like a good pair of headphones, and just enjoy the show, like look at it. I hope you can get your hands on some pieces, but everything is meant to be consumed, you know, like just sitting down, like literally, like it's like the visual equivalent of like headphone music. I almost intended this to be like some sort of like meditation,
Yeah.
like a guided meditation. If you see like my like bio on like a few things, is like I try to be like a visual meditation, like a guided imagery, which is that I'm just like putting you in a, trying to put you in a state of mind that is almost like a meditation state, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Alejandro Jodorowsky, the guy who was supposed to make Dune and never made it. Is this
No.
like art director from Uruguay, and he has this movie called the Holy Mountain.
Mhm.
And he talks about his pieces, like he's trying to, again, this goes back to like the 60s, you know, like kind of like mindset. He's trying to give people like LSD without people consuming LSD.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of like my goal with my work. I want you to be high and have a good trip without consuming anything.
I like that. Are you
Yeah.
sure that you're not hippie level 9,000 as you put it earlier?
No, I sound like it, but Trust me, I'm not. Like, if dude, when COVID is done and we can actually get together and like have some beers, you're gonna be like, yeah, like, yeah. I'm not like a hippie, but like, I feel like there's something very. That's the reason why I didn't want to. Like, a bunch of people ask me, it's like, hey, like, do you do drugs? I'm like, no, I actually don't do. I don't do drugs. I barely smoke weed. I think the last time I smoked weed was like a year ago. So that's why with my art, I'm kind of like, I don't want you to get high in the sense of like escape from reality, but I want you to get into like a meditation state with the sound, with the visuals, and kind of like make you things that you know what I mean, like, you know how like maybe like some drugs activate different parts of your brain that make you either more subconscious, or like think about something that you said 10 years ago. Like, it just kind of like puts, you know, like the lens inwards.
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of like my goal with a lot of my work. So this specific body of work is like very, you know, like, the goal is very clear. I want you to like experience it both in sound and visuals, and kind of like think about like how the fabric of life, you know, like it's kind of like related to you. So yeah, like, even I can say details now. The name of the show is Everything Connected, and it's about is a theme that is being like very, you know, like present in my work because of what I just said. And it's something that, again, like, I don't, maybe that's why I'm not like the hippie guy. I'm a hippie guy with my work and with what I want to say with my work, but you will never see me in a bar drinking beers being like, yo, we're gonna die. Like, I'm never gonna be that guy. You know what I mean?
Well, you've already spent time with your drugs, right? Your art is the drug. You're in that state. You're conveying that state. You're gifting that state.
Yes.
And then you remove yourself from that state, and you don't need them anymore.
Completely. It's literally like I'm like the vessel for my work in a weird way. Yeah. So it's more about like how everything in life is connected. Like, how you are not different than me. Like, we're just experiencing life through a different lens, but then that lens eventually is gonna degrade, and like we mentioned earlier, like, we all gonna like die.
Yeah.
But like, it's not death in the way that is like you're dead or I'm dead. It's like we're all alive experiencing this thing. Like, everything is connected. Like, the nature, you and your neighbor, like, everything, literally everything is connected. So I feel like this show is meant to, you know, like, make you kind of like think about that, and like kind of like put you in that state of like kind of like realizing that the same way that I realized, like, when I was going back, you know, like when I was in Toronto, like, then when I was realizing that I was like alive, and I was like, wow, like, I can't believe that, you know, like, my body is made of like a bunch of different like living things that I'm not aware of, and I don't think about it, you know, like, for like 40 years, 24 hours a day, but like, that's a reality, and like, I'm made of like a bunch of like living things. So that's the main inspiration and the main, you know, like, kind of like theme of the drop. And yeah, like, I feel like I hope that people can actually like see that, you know, through like a piece of work. Is very ambitious to like kind of like achieve something like that through like just purely like visual work, like even audio. But I feel like this is meant to be a trigger. This is not meant to be, you know, like, when you take a drug, it's like it kind of like forces you to be in that state, because it's like physically, like physiologically, there's like changes happening. This is more intended to be like a trigger for you to be like, oh, like, okay, like, this is not forcing me into any state, but is making me think about stuff, and it's making me feel things that is triggering thoughts in my brain, you know?
Like the option, or the ability to make a choice and to immerse yourself into the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. Well,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess maybe we wait for tomorrow to see the mechanics and the numbers and everything along those lines.
Yeah. I feel it for like specific things. I prefer to wait so people can experience, you know, like the actual show is like it's like when you go to a gallery, like you don't research what's the price of this and how many pieces. You just go to the show and take it all in. Like, when you go to a concert, you don't want to see the set list before the thing, so you just go to the thing, experience it, and like, because I feel like these drops can become very easy, you know, like, about the money. which is awesome too, because like that money goes back into the art and it makes even cooler things possible. But again, like I'm very romantic in that way, and I want people to like go there and like spend more than, you know, like the 5 minutes that an open edition will go by. Like I want people to like sit down and like we were saying, like make those pieces hopefully part of your life.
And I enjoy the set list analogy. I can tell you that anytime, and this has really only happened in recent years because adulthood and you have access to the internet and everything. Anytime I've ever looked up, like try to do research on what a set list might be, and anytime I've ever had it spoiled, it takes something away.
Bad idea.
It's a bad idea. So I appreciate that, and I will very, very anxiously await the experience. And I like the tagline, "Show up," right? Show up. It becomes the trigger. It becomes the immersion, and we will all see.
Dude, yeah, I can't wait. I'm super excited to see like everybody's reaction. I hope everybody likes it. I hope that even if I can, like, you know, like even if one guy kind of like gets into that state that I'm, you know, like trying to achieve with this, that's like a goal accomplished to me. So I feel like I'm very proud of it, and I hope that everybody enjoys it, and I hope that everybody can connect with it, and I hope everybody just, you know, like have fun with it and like just enjoy it.
Victor, can't wait. Can't wait.
You, man.
Thank you for coming on Origin Stories. I hope this is not our last time. Let me put that out there. I hope we can run this back. I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours and it would be no problem.
Oh man, yeah, I have a hard time shutting up, dude.
Yeah,
I talk way too much.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Charismatic. You have a lot to say. This is good. You saved it. You don't put it all on Twitter. You saved it for here.
Dude, exactly. That's why I don't do it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I talk way too much in real life. So in Twitter, I'm like, okay, you know what it is? I don't think when I'm speaking. I literally just say whatever comes to mind. In Twitter, I have that extra second of like, no. Okay, chill.
Edit. Yeah.
Yeah. I like relax.
Yeah.
But
hey,
yeah, dude. No, thank you, man.
Thank you. Have an amazing. I hope you are able tomorrow, as everyone is freaking out, showing up, and then freaking out over the experience and losing their collective minds. I hope you can take a step back and appreciate and enjoy the moment.
Oh, dude, yeah, same. Me too. Like, I think it's gonna be a good day. But yeah, dude, thank you for having me for real. It's such a nice thing. Not only to like promote the draw, but it's such a nice thing. Like I was saying, is like that's something that wasn't a part of our lives. Like it's, you know, like crypto. It wasn't a part of my life 2 months ago. Maybe you've been in this longer than I am, but
barely.
It's such a, yeah. There you go. But it's like a nice thing that something that we didn't see it coming, it connects us in this way, and now we're like here talking and like here connecting in like a different level that is not, you know, like, oh cool, yeah, thanks, like a DM or something like that. I really appreciate, like I mentioned before, like these kind of connections, and I really appreciate you, and like thanks for having me, man.
Victor, everything connected.
There you go. Everything connected indeed, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.